Hey guys, and welcome back to Churn Farm. So we are in game day 15. So we have moved forward a little bit since the last time we met. We're busy putting seed in the ground here on field 15 for our grass field. We've done some work off camera for our planting and our cultivating. I decided that it really didn't need to show you guys all of the cultivating and seeding that we were doing. If you've seen us do seeding and cultivating once, you've pretty much seen us doing it for the rest of the time. So we are sitting here in game day 15. This is the last field that we can plant for now until our temperatures come up. If we look at our planting schedule here, we can put potatoes in the ground, check. We can put canola in the ground, check. Barley, check. Wheat, check. Grass, check. Alright, so we've done all that. We need to plant corn. Can't do it yet. We need to plant soybeans. Can't do it yet. But thankfully we have until game day 8 of summer to get those things in the ground. And we may need that because look at our forecast here. So we're in day 15 and we're back to 41 degrees Fahrenheit on our ground temp. Now yesterday we were at 43. This morning we had rain and it lowered our ground temp as a result to 41. So tomorrow, and it was like 39 degrees outside this morning, so it's warmed up now to 45. But tomorrow it says oh shoot, I didn't lower our cedar. There we go. Tomorrow it says we have a high of 59 ish. It's cloudy. We'll see what that does to our ground temp. It might be 41 again, it might be 43. Wednesday we have partly cloudy, a little bit of sun, high of 58. Hopefully that'll bring our ground temp up. We got sunny 57. We got a sunny 62. So hopefully it'll get our ground temp up, and maybe we'll be able to put some soybeans and corn in the ground. We get, but then look at game day 21 and 22. We got rain in the forecast again. That's going to lower our ground temp. So, are we gonna bite ourselves in the foot? Are we gonna get 50-degree ground temp? Are we gonna seed that corn and soybeans? And then is our ground temp going to go plummet? Is it going to drop to a point where it's below 50 degrees when the seed goes to germinate? And if that happens, we lose the field. Are we going to have that happen? That's kind of a stressful situation to be thinking about. We don't need our lights. So, we're going to have to kind of think about when we want to plant. And maybe we're going to hold off until we're pretty confident that the ground temp is going to stay above 50 degrees. So we have finished cultivating field 28. That's a field that we're going to put, I think, sunflower or canola, or no. We're going to put soybeans in that field. That's the field that's directly in front of us. We still need to cultivate our 3 corn fields. So there's field 28 directly in front of us here. Let's take a look and turn around. So there's field 28. Let's do a little out of cab driving and just take a look, because we are up on a fairly high point on the map. There's the dairy. There's the ocean coast. There's the lookout tower. We were just on the other side of that hill with when we were planting canola. That is the highest point on the map over there. I really wish you could get into that lookout tower. That would be an awesome perspective. But it doesn't seem that we're big enough to get through the floor into the observation deck area. So when we're done this field, we're going to sell this seeder. We won't have a need for it anymore because we'll be doing all of the rest of our seeding with the other one. Well, I guess we could keep it to seed the soybeans. But we're definitely going to need the other seeder to do our corn. So I saw a video today. Black Sheep Modding had some pretty cool equipment that they look like they're coming out with soon. One of them was some of it was some forestry equipment. One of it looked like it was a tractor wheeled vehicle that had a big old arm on it, like a backhoe. Except on the end of the implement was a grinder that looked like it was a stump grinder. But it also seemed to have the ability to cut down a tree, and then they flipped it and then it ground the stump, and then they did something to it and it basically grounded up the dirt into a plow texture in the forest they were working in. So I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't really sure what it would do. If it would take like the let's see here, is that I don't think this, there is a painted pine needles texture. I don't know if this map has it or not, but there's a painted pine needle texture that if you plow, you still have the pine needles and you can see the plowed ground underneath. I did that on law folds. I plowed up the little grove of trees right down south of the pig enclosure, and I planted that little area. I plowed it up, did a create fields, and I planted sugar beets in that little field that I made. And that was going to be my how I fed the pigs their sugar beets. I was going to basically plant them in that little stretch of field that I made. But even after doing create fields and plowing, I still had that pine needles texture above the field. And when the sugar beets were growing, you could still see the pine needle texture. So I don't know if this implement somehow has the ability to erase that. That would be pretty cool. If you could basically clear a forested area with that implement and then use it to clear the forest ground and basically make way for a real field that didn't have other textures kind of showing through it. So it is mid, let's get our HUD back here. It is mid-spring. We have, tomorrow will be game day 16 It'll be the last day of mid-spring at that point. And then game day 17 will be into late spring. We're going to make a couple passes around this patch of trees here. That'll make it easier when we make our passes to we won't need course play courses. I was using course play to get this field started. So we're just going to make some passes around here, as I said, to allow us to have easier turning when we start making our up and down runs. We should have just enough seed in this seeder for our field here. I used course play's ability to show me how much seed I would need, and I had selected grass, and I put just a hair over that amount in the seeder just to see if it was indeed exactly accurate. So in past episodes we had typically one other helper doing some type of work on the farm, either putting down manure, cultivating, or whatever. But I was looking at the temperatures, and pretty much realized that we would very soon be out of work to do if the ground temps didn't come up. And what that meant to me was I should just tell our hired helpers to stay home, or maybe go work for another farmer for a little bit, and just do the work ourselves until we were in a position where we were once again had more work to do than we had time to do it. So I think we're going to make one more pass around. That should be good. That'll give us about 18 meters or so, 15 to 18 meters to work with. I still can't get over how this tractor sounds. It's kind of got a whine to it. When it really gets wound up, it's got quite the whine to it. It sounds like it's got a turbo in it. It probably does have a turbo in it to give it that little extra horsepower oomph. But you really get the sense that this tractor just wants to take off. And it's just something's just the smallest thing is holding it back, and whatever's holding it back, if it stops, this thing is just going to shoot off like a rocket. So I hope everybody's enjoying the series. I hope those that are playing 24 days are enjoying the play. I know we've had some discussions over at PCSG where some folks have expressed a little bit of either concern or discontent, or just I don't know. I just guess overall they were hoping things would progress a little faster than they are, and I'm trying to remind people that if you've played a 6-day season, that's 2 game days per game or season transition. So there's obviously a midwinter, or an early spring, a mid-spring, and a late spring. And with 6-day seasons, each of those transitions is 2 days long. Well, with 24-day seasons, each transition is 8 days long. So You know, what used to happen every 2 days now only happens every 8 days. And to some degree that includes like temperature increases. You know, there's been some concern over the temperatures don't seem to be going up on the field, on the ground temps. I think it's still that, you know, if you don't typically see 50 degrees in mid-spring on a 6-day play, then you can't really expect to see 50 degrees in spring on a 24-day play. You would expect to see 50 degrees possibly in late spring. And in that case, here, late spring is at the earliest day 17. So it could be that it takes, or not game days, yeah, game day 17, because game day 16 is still mid-spring. So like I said, I'm not too terribly worried right now that we don't have 50 degrees. I would like to see it be 43 or 45 degrees. The fact that it stayed at 41 degrees probably for the last, I don't know, how long have we been planning? We started planning in game day 8. So for the last 8 days, it's been between 41 and 43 degrees. You know, it'd be nice to see it climb a little bit more, but it seems like every time it gets on a ground to climb, there's bad weather that drops the air temps, which seem to drop the ground temps. So let's pick this up and just listen to this thing as it starts to take off. I better slow down. You hear it? It was revving up there, and it was winding up to just rocket launch, I think, off the field. This is going to be a real fun tractor to drive around. That is for sure. All right. So we're going to focus on this bottom section now. And we'll come back to that section a little bit later. So yeah, in past game days, we would I would either, you know, seed and someone would cultivate, or I would cultivate and someone would seed, or in the, you know, in another instance, I would have 2 people seeding and cultivating, and I would do the fertilizing. But now we're just going to seed. Then I'll come over here and I'll fertilize this field. Then we'll go and probably start fertilizing. We'll fertilize field 28 that we've already cultivated. Can't seed it yet unless we decide to put something other than soybeans in it. But I pretty much have decided that I wanted to put soybeans in there to, I think, to support our, no, the canola is to support our pigs. I'm just putting soybeans in there because I've got the field and I don't have anything else I need to put in it. It's no big deal if I don't end up putting soybeans in it, but yeah, I would like to be able to plant all the crops and harvest all the crops. So we're just going to, once we're done this field planting, we're going to basically just focus on cultivating the last 3 fields that we have. Then we're going to focus on fertilizing those 3 fields. And if we still can't plant by the time that we've got all that work done, then I guess we're just going to have to find something else to do for a few days. Oops, we didn't want to fold that up. It won't be that big of a problem. There's always something to do on the farm, that's for sure. Again, I really love the looks of this map. It's really beautiful. I was talking with Mike over at PCSG, Reefy 1952, about this map. He had mentioned playing it in Farm Sim 15 and hadn't really gave it much thought in Farm Sim 17. But he was saying he really enjoyed it in 15. And to some degree, I was, curious on how this map looked in Farm Sim 15. Did it look exactly like this? Is this a pretty much spot-on port? Was this a re-envisioned? How is it different? I'm kind of curious how this map is different than it was in 15. Kind of look back. If this map was in 13, how did it look in 13 compared to 15, compared to 17? It's just, I'm really curious on this. These types of things. I learned the other week that Newbie Farm. I knew Newbie Farm was a map that's been around for several iterations of Farm Sim, but what I didn't know is apparently Newbie Farm is rebuilt every year, or every Farm Sim version is completely rebuilt, completely reimagined almost. And to that extent, you kind of makes you wonder. Well, wonder what Newbie Farm looked like in 15. What did it look like in 13? Were 15 and 13, how different were they to play than the 17 version? It'd be cool if you could somehow play an older version of the map on a newer version of the game without having to have somebody go through a pretty big process of converting it, of changing things over. If you've got trains, you didn't have drivable trains in 15, so if you're going to put it in 17, are you going to include drivable trains? Are you going to continue to have the train pull lever to sell, or are you just going to be drive a train up and dump it at a sell point for the train sales? Things like that. So this field won't take too terrible long to finish. We're probably going to finish this field off camera and everything. So I was also thinking about Black Sheep modding. I was also looking at they had a video of a hook lift trailer that they were working on. It was basically a hook lift version of their new semi that they came out with. And it made me think about the console folks, because Black Sheep Modding always seems to release stuff for both platforms, console and PC. And it really made me question and wonder if this hook lift trailer will be available on both platforms. Because I was under the impression that possibly the IT Runner stuff wasn't available on console. And if you have a hook lift trailer in console, then you pretty much need the other modules to make use of it. Or will this be one of the Black Sheep modding mods that does not come out for console? Guess only time will really tell. As I'm recording this, West Coast hasn't come out yet, but I sincerely expect it to come out before this particular episode airs. So how are you all enjoying West Coast? Is it everything that you envisioned it would be? Has it lived up to the hype? That's the scary thing with some of this stuff, is the hype factor. Will it live up to to the hype of the map? Will the expectations be there after you see it? I'm still not seeing the movie Titanic, and I don't have any intentions of watching it because it was so hyped as the movie everyone had to see. I pretty much lost all interest in wanting to see it as a result of that hype, because I pretty much figured that it wasn't going to live up to my expectations after hearing all that hype about it. So why should I just be disappointed? Again, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that West Coast does not live up to the hype. As I said, when I'm recording this episode, it's not yet been released, so I don't know. All I have to go off of is the various early access YouTube series and some of the not videos, but some of the screenshots posted over at PCSG. So speaking of PCSG, I'd like to talk about a couple other websites that I visit and encourage you all to check out. And that is PCSG. Basically, that's a really great website for information about farm sim, information about other simulation-based games in general. It's a mature website, which basically means that most of the visitors of the website are adults and understand and don't feel the need to put people down for questions that they may that some people may think are not so intelligent questions. We all learn through asking questions, and basically someone's had to have asked a question at least once, and we have absolutely no problem answering a question that's been asked multiple times, because we know and understand that you probably have searched for the answer, and you probably have not found the answer that you are to the question you're looking for. So going someplace and just being told this has been answered 17,000 times, go look for an answer yourself, well, that's not very helpful, because if the person's not been successful in finding the answer, simply telling them to go look some more isn't going to magically make them discover the solution. It might be that they aren't putting the right search terms in. Maybe they're not understanding it enough to even be able to know what to search for. And that's where coming to a community where they are more than willing to answer every question as if it's been first asked there, it makes it important to be able to go and say, you know what, I don't know what the answer to this is, and I'm sure somebody here does. And yes, I've tried to find the answer myself, but I'm not really sure where to look. Then you'll get plenty of responses back helping you out. So that's PCSG. They also have some organized multiplayer servers to check out. And then you got the 3 Dudes Gaming Network. Now that site is a little bit different. To be quite honest, it's got a little less activity on it than PCSG, so it's still young, it's still growing. Now what makes this 3 Dudes stand out is that 3 Dudes is pretty much built around some YouTube folks. I'm one of the admins over at 3 Dudes, and basically it's there for us to basically interact with our viewers, our subscriber base. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. as well as anybody else that should join. We're working on coming up with a re-envisioned multiplayer server over there. Oh, I didn't turn it on. Somehow I magically turned this thing off again. There we go. There are forums to post in over there. Feel free to ask questions on that. There are some YouTube folks in my description below. Most of them, if not all of them, are 3 dudes, either admins or affiliates, members. I encourage you to check out their networks and their channels. They all put out really good YouTube content. These headlights are almost as good as the John Deere, the little 6R John Deere, but not quite. So I encourage you to check them out. They all have various gameplay styles, various video styles, and you're sure to find something you like in that list of folks. And with that, I'm going to bid you guys a farewell. We're going to go, I'm going to mute the mic, and we're just going to enjoy this sunset. We're going to just enjoy the colors of mid-spring. We're going to hide our HUD, and like I said, we're just going to enjoy the scenery of Churn Farms as we finish working here on this field. So I hope you enjoy the background music and the imagery that is Churn Farms.